Alright, time to buy some fake consoles on wish.com. Let's look what they have here. Wait a minute. A PSP looking console? I think I actually have one of those. I have one of those. Hold on a minute. Hold on. Ugh. Oh man. Look at the dust on this thing. No way. Sony, the interesting company with many ups and many downs. Sony actually originally didn't even want to dip their toes into video game consoles at one point. After a failed partnership with Nintendo, they went on to use their knowledge with them to go on to create the Sony PlayStation, which was wildly successful. That's when Nintendo started getting actual competition, because Atari was just, it was just there. It was just there. So after a few consoles releasing, Nintendo decided to release the Nintendo DS. Well, of course, this is the 2DS, but you get the picture. They really hit it out of the park with that console. Dual screens was a new concept, and Sony wanted to combat that. So that's when the Sony PlayStation Portable was born. Released in 2005 was the first model, the 1000, which I have right here. And then there was a few numbers afterwards corresponding with your region. For example, the 1000, which was from Japan. Then there was the 1001, which actually I have right here. And then so on and so forth. But Sony didn't think it was enough. They thought that they should make 4 redesigns, which then came the 2000, which is just slimmer. It's just thinner. It looks like this. Speakers are up here. And it's slimmer, but that's it. The 3000 came out with the better looking screen, and the home button, instead of looking like this, now is the PlayStation logo. And then they decided to release the PSP Go, which all in all is nice looking. Like it's smaller than this. But the thing is, it looks like a flip phone. You flip it open, and that was a problem, where sometimes the screen would break off, and that was an issue there. Good job, Sony. You played yourself. So, then they decided to do one more model. The street model. It's this, without the UMD drive, and no internet. Who bought that? So, I guess it was like a cheap out alternative. It's like, well, I can't afford this thing. Might as well get a street model, but who bought that? Speaking of which, the PSP Go didn't even have a UMD drive. It was able to download games through the PlayStation Network, but that was it. You mostly relied on memory cards. Not the Pro Duos like this, but you relied on SD cards, or I think it was a different type of card. I don't know for sure. I've never owned a PSP Go, but I do know they look pretty cool, and if I got my hands on one, that'd be cool, but I'm fine with this model as it is. So, the PSP was doing fairly well, until literally months after release. Modders have already cracked the code and were able to make it to where this console could play unsigned code. Sony was not happy about that. So they released a patch, but a day after the patch, it was modded again. And again, it happened multiple times, especially with their last release. They just did like bug fixes and everything. It's still moddable to this day, and it's very easy. All you have to do is download a few files, make them run, and you're done. It's modded. It's very easy to do. You just need a PC and one of these guys. Just have over the 32 megs of the Pro Duo. I have an adapter that has a micro SD inside of it. I have 64 gigs in mine because there's a lot of games I like playing on the go. So somebody called Staples because that was easy. I'm sorry. The PlayStation Portable is a very fun piece of technology to mess around with. But is it still worth your money and attention today? Let's find out. So of course, I've modded mine, and it's still pretty nice to this day. I have the 1001 model. I had a blue casing originally, but I changed it to the black because mine had a bunch of scratches on the screen and then stopped working after a while. So after I swapped the casing, it seemed to work again. But of course, I have a lot of games on here. But if you haven't guessed yet, yes, this console is capable of emulating things. It emulates everything up to the PS1. Well, basically everything. Some things don't work as well, but it's like, as the consoles you wouldn't necessarily care about, you know? Like, for example, MS-DOS. I don't know if you would care about running that on a little thing like this. But I have a big selection of games right here. So, it has a lot of options here. We have the games. I have a lot of PlayStation 1 games. It can play Game Boy Advance using that emulator. And it can also play SNES. A lot of these are PS1 titles. You can even connect it as a gamepad if you really wanted to. You can use this as a controller using the analog stick and just everything on here. We also have the Master Boy. This emulates Game Boy Color, Game Boy, and it also emulates Sega Master System, which I haven't personally tried. I might think about it. Of course, we have some PSP titles by themselves. And then, yes, this can run N64 at full speed. Just be aware that it's not full speed if you decide to turn on audio. Mario 64 is fine. It has a few audio lags, but that's it. Rest of the games, you're going to experience audio lags. So, we have all of these other games on here. I just think picking up one of these is totally worth the buy. I got mine for $35 on Mercari, which you can pick these up for around $30 to $35 on eBay and Mercari, or even Amazon, depending on if you get it used or not. If you get it brand new, expect it to be over $100. So, I'm going to show some gameplay here. Alright, so with here, I'm going to be showing just some of the games that work on here, man. So here's Super Mario Brothers. This is the Deluxe Edition, where this is the Super Mario Bros. Deluxe Edition, where you can definitely run it. Ooh. You can also zoom up and down. Of course, this is the Game Boy Color Edition, where it's been a bit compressed. So you can kind of control here. I'm trying to like hold the camera with my hand as I do this. But it does work well. You can also quit the game just by going to home and exiting. Of course, I have the circle being my yes because I don't know, I'm just used to it. I decided to change it using the VSH menu, using select. Now here, I'm going to show a Game Boy Advance game, so let's go down. Okay, so here's Super Mario Bros. 3 on the Game Boy Advance. This looks pretty great here. But it looks like it's running pretty well. Of course, I'm having to, like, use fingers like my pinky to press the A. This is, yeah, I don't think you're going to want to watch it like that. But it does work fairly well. So, yeah. I'll go ahead and exit from here and show you the SNES. And here is Super Mario Kart for the SNES. So, it's running pretty well. Got all kinds of characters to choose on. I don't get why they stuck Donkey Kong Jr. in here. Why? But it's fine. Let's be Luigi. Luigi's my boy. And gameplay-wise, runs pretty well. Of course, I can't turn. But yeah, you kind of get the gist. It works fairly well. Let's go ahead and switch to another game. Ooh, the classic PS1 intro. Yep, this is a PS1 game that was my childhood. I originally played the N64 version of Gex. That's what this is. I really love this game series and think it deserves more attention than it's got. Square Enix actually bought out Gex back in 2015 and said they were going to do something with him. They never did. But yeah, this is PS1 running at full speed on the PSP. I think it's really nice. Of course, there's my data. I've been playing this game for quite a while. I'm already 39% in. But it runs very great for a portable console. And I think native PS1 support on this thing is quite amazing. So here we have Gex moving around. But I really love this game, and I think it deserves way more attention. Next, I'll be showing you the last console it can run, which would be Nintendo 64. So yep, N64 is totally running on it. It's very, like, crackly with audio-wise, but once you get to a certain point, it works fairly well for it being a 64-bit console, of course. That's why it's named the 64. But the cutscene looks really nice on this. We're gonna have to skip that. That's really oof right there. But it looks really nice for this being a portable console that wasn't meant to run this. I think if you were able to upgrade the processor on this, which I don't think you can, but if you were able to, I think it'd be able to run every single N64 game at full speed, which would be really great if someone found a way to upgrade the processor on this thing. Because I think this could be the ultimate portable gaming console. Like, the Switch can be for certain things. Like, some people have modded it and got GameCube running on it. Like, not on full speed, of course, but they've got GameCube running on it. But yep, there's your boy Mario on a Sony console. But yeah, I think it's really great. And of course you can play PSP games on here, but that's a given. So yeah, especially it's your boy Peggle running on Sony PSP. So all in all, the Sony PlayStation Portable, is it worth it in 2019? I'd say heck to the yes. If you have enough money, I'd say pick one up if you can. They're a really useful way to experience retro games all on one console. And on a side note, if you're wondering, yes, the PSP does have a DS emulator, but does it run well? No. It is absolutely slow. Use your 3DS if you want to play DS games. But other than that, this thing is really great for your retro console uses. It's the go-to for me. Some people are starting to say the Switch is, but it's harder to mod. And that's also why the Vita failed. That thing is still hard to mod. And they're not updating it as much. They're even stopping production this year. So, anyways, I'll see you guys later. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate all your patience, and hopefully we'll upload again soon. Be sure to hit the bell icon to stay up to date with all my uploads, and enjoy your lives, guys.